Let's beat the waiver wire on Fantasy Football Today in 5. Filling in for Chris Towers. What's up, everybody? I'm Adam Azer with Heath Cummings. Like riding a bike, Heath, back in the Fantasy Football Today in 5 groove. All right, we're talking about players that we're not necessarily looking at their matchups for next week, but beat the waiver wire. These are guys that you should stash. They could have a lot of value or later in the year, maybe as early as next week. So who are some guys you're stashing?
Justice Hill definitely comes to mind. He was the best Ravens running back before he suffered his hamstring injury. He was a full practice participant on Wednesday. J.K. Dobbins was not at practice. It could be Hill and Drake running the ball against a fantastic matchup against the Cleveland Browns, and we don't know for sure when J.K. Dobbins is going to be okay.
There are only 2 teams on bye next week, but they are a pretty high-powered team. So it's Kansas City and the Chargers. A couple of players, or let me give you one player at least that's going into a bye this week. Allen Robinson, coming off his best game, and maybe they're a little optimistic about him. Do you think that he is worth beating the waiver wire if Allen Robinson is available?
Yeah, I mean he's already rostered in 2/3 of leagues, so I wouldn't want to add him in a 10-team league, and I wouldn't want to add him in a non-PPR league. I don't think, but there might be a couple of leagues out there where he's not rostered where I'd want to add him.
Well, you said Justice Hill? Did you say Kyren Williams?
Kyren Williams, Jordan Rodriguez did seem to indicate that he would have a big role, and Darrell Henderson's never been able to stay healthy for a full season, so he definitely needs to be rostered as well.
All right, what about Wan'Dale Robinson? He's about 33% rostered. Is that a good player to stash right now?
Yeah, Wan'Dale Robinson and Greg Dulcich, kind of very similar guys who scored touchdowns last week but didn't do enough besides that in their first real game. I want to have them on my bench, but I don't want to have them on my starting lineup yet.
In shallower leagues, I keep seeing Khalil Herbert getting dropped in leagues. That might be a mistake. You should probably pick up Khalil Herbert. Jahan Dotson, George Pickens. What about these kind of rookie wide receivers who are struggling and may have been dropped? What do you think about them?
If you've got a bench spot, I think that just stashing rookie wide receivers is one of the best things you can do. A couple of these guys are going to be really good in the second half of the season.
Odell Beckham. Thoughts on stashing him?
That's a long-term stash because I don't think he's going to play in the next 3 to 4 weeks, and then I wouldn't expect him to be a full-time player when he first comes back. So that's somebody you're adding and thinking, I'm going to let this guy sit on my roster until the fantasy playoffs.
Van Jefferson is 8% rostered.
It's hard to imagine, as bad as this offense has been at protecting Matthew Stafford, that the guy who plays the deep ball role is going to have a lot of targets. But I do think there's a chance he could be better than Allen Robinson and be the number 2 wide receiver in this offense.
Okay. Ty Montgomery, maybe? Any interest in that?
Not really. Like if I'm stashing guys that I think might have big upside. Ty Montgomery, you're stashing because he might score you 10 PPR fantasy points at some point this year.
I'll take that in a bye week, I guess.
Well, all right. But you can pick. There's going to be 6 of those guys available on the waiver wire the week that you need them.
Yeah, possibly. All right, I'm going to give you a couple quarterbacks. Tell me if you think they're worth stashing or more than a couple. Davis Mills gets Tennessee next week. I
don't really want to trust that.
All right, remember, no Mahomes, no Herbert next week. Mac Jones maybe at the Jets.
What's Bailey Zappi's roster percentage?
Lower than Mac Jones. Pretty sure anyway.
And the Jets defense is good.
Potentially. All right, Zappy is 13%. Oh, Mac Jones is 19%. All right. How about Justin Fields at Dallas next week? What about a more long-term approach for Justin Fields? He's 33% rostered.
Yeah, I think you could put Justin Fields and Kenny Pickett both in that. What if they're good in the second half of the season? And really, we're not too far. In fact, it's probably not too far at all. If we're talking about stashing Odell Beckham, Deshaun Watson's just 34% rostered, and he's about a month and a half away from playing.
Jameis Winston is also 34% rostered.
And he's got the Ravens next week. If he gets his job back, that might be dependent on whether or not Andy Dalton gets a win tonight.
He gets the Raiders next week, I think, right? Am I wrong? Yeah, he gets the Raiders. Yeah. All right, that's it for Beat the Waiver Wire. Thank you, Heath Cummings. Thank you all for watching and listening. I'm Adam Azer. We'll talk to you this weekend on Fantasy Football Today in 5.